I know many of you are curious about how these recent FTC rulings might shake things up in Star Rail. What's going to change in the warp system? How will it impact the way we play and, more importantly, spend? In today's video, we'll break it all down and explore what these changes could mean for the future of the game. We'll dive into everything from banner transparency to simpler currency systems, and even what this might mean for younger players. Save up to 23% on the Herta banner at lootbar.gg. All you need is your UID and server. The link is in the description. Let's start with one of the most likely changes: clearer banner odds. Right now, if you're aiming for a 5-star character like Herta or Jade, the odds of pulling them are buried deep in the banner details. Most players don't realize their chance of getting the featured character on any single warp is only 0.6%. Instead, banners highlight the guaranteed 4-star or above entity every 10 pulls, which can feel a bit misleading if you don't fully understand how pity works. Under potential new rules, Hoyoverse might need to make these odds much more visible. It will be something like, you have a 0.6% chance to pull Herta with each warp. It would be upfront, easy to find, and leave no room for confusion. Next up is simplifying the currency system. As it stands, you buy Oneiric shard with real money, then convert those into stellar jades, and then to special star rail pass, and only after that you warp on banners. This multi-step process can make it tricky to keep track of how much you're actually spending. In the future, Hoyoverse might streamline the system, letting you buy pulls directly with real money. For example, instead of juggling conversions, you'd see 1 warp costs $2 and 10 warps cost $20. But there's also speculation about an even bigger change. What if you could outright purchase a character from the banner? Imagine something like, "My day priced $200 or something." This would completely change how we think about spending in the game. On one hand, it could make things cheaper for players who just want the 5-star without worrying about RNG. On the other hand, it raises questions. Would pity still stack for future pulls? And how would this impact the value of traditional warping, where you get 4-star characters, eidolons, or even an early 5-star? It's definitely something to keep an eye on. One thing I've noticed is that these rulings seem to focus entirely on paying players. But what about the F2P community? Star Rail has always provided ways to earn pulls through login bonuses, events, and exploration. Will these changes indirectly benefit F2P players, or will they remain unaffected? Now, let's talk about parental consent. This is where things get a little tricky. According to the new rules, players under 16 would need parental approval for any in-game purchases. But how would Hoyoverse enforce this? Would players have to upload identification? Would parents need to physically confirm each purchase? And what's stopping younger players from simply creating an account on another server to bypass these restrictions? It's a complicated issue, and one that could significantly slow things down for younger trailblazers. On the flip side, it could help parents become more aware of how much their kids are spending on the game. But will this extra layer of security create more frustration than it's worth? It's hard to say, but I'd love to hear what you think. Let's discuss honest marketing. You've seen it before. Banners like the Hertas create a sense of urgency with phrases like "limited time only" or "don't miss your chance." But in reality, your odds of pulling her don't change, and pity ensures you'll get a 5-star eventually. If Hoyoverse is forced to include clearer disclaimers, we might see something like, on average, it takes 90 warps or around $180 to get the featured 5-star. While this kind of transparency could help players make better decisions, it might also take away some of the excitement and thrill that comes with warping. What do you think? Is this kind of honesty long overdue, or does it risk making the game feel too mechanical? Next up, let's talk about changes for influencer promotions. Right now, influencers are a massive part of the hype machine for Star Rail's banners. You've probably seen those videos where they pull the featured 5-star character with insane streaks of luck. It's exciting to watch, and it makes you feel like, hey, maybe I could get lucky too. But here's the thing, these videos rarely show the full cost behind those pulls. If the FTC's guidelines are fully implemented, influencers might be required to disclose the real odds and expenses behind their banner pulls. For example, instead of just showcasing their amazing pull results, they might have to say something like, "It cost me $600 to get Herta on this banner." While this transparency could be helpful for players, it might also take away some of the excitement and fantasy behind these promotions. But what happens if the influencer is free to play and genuinely got lucky? They might not even spend money, so how would they disclose costs or odds? Honestly, it feels like the FTC hasn't considered free-to-play players in their rulings. A lot of us play without spending, relying purely on luck and grinding resources. It's strange that this perspective isn't mentioned. Now to the interesting topic. Why did the FTC target Star Rail and Genshin Impact, but not companies like EA, Riot Games, or Valve? I've seen this question pop up a lot, and it's a fair one. To clarify, the difference lies in how these companies structure their monetization systems and the role they play in the game experience. In Honkai, Star Rail, much like Genshin Impact, the GACHA system is a core part of the gameplay. Warping for new characters and light cones isn't just about having fun or collecting. It's directly tied to how you build your teams and tackle challenging content. This creates a sense of necessity, especially for players aiming to optimize their gameplay. Compare that to Riot Games or Valve, where purchases are purely cosmetic. Spending money in those games doesn't give you a gameplay advantage. It's just about looking cool or standing out. EA, on the other hand, has monetization systems more comparable to Star Rail, especially in FIFA's Ultimate Team mode, where players buy randomized card packs to build stronger teams. However, EA doesn't have a pity system, meaning players can spend endlessly without guarantees. In some ways, this is worse than Star Rail's system, but the key difference is that EA doesn't lean as heavily on emotional marketing or appeal to younger audiences, which is a major focus of the FTC. What makes Star Rail and Genshin stand out is how emotionally attached players become to the characters. Hoyoverse invests heavily in making these characters memorable, with engaging backstories, voice acting, and unique gameplay mechanics. This emotional connection, paired with limited-time banners, creates urgency and drives players to spend more than they might otherwise plan for. It's a marketing strategy that works, but it's also what caught the FTC's attention. Games like League of Legends don't foster the same level of emotional investment in their purchases. In this game, spending money is more about customizing your experience or showing off a cool skin, not about unlocking new gameplay possibilities. Additionally, those games often offer direct purchase options, meaning there's no gambling involved. What do you think about these potential changes? Personally, I think more transparency could be a good thing. Clearer odds, straightforward costs, and simpler systems could make Star Rail and gacha games in general feel fairer for everyone. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think these changes will make the game better? Or are you worried it might lose some of the magic that makes gacha games so engaging? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.